Well, what's up again, guys? Brian here, D3 Topics Gamer. I have another Quested Rankings video to share with you guys today. This time I'll be doing another tier style list. Now that I've gotten my ranking of the Batman theatrical films out of the way, this time I'll be going over my ranking of the theatrical Spider-Man films. Now, since Batman is without question my favorite DC character of all time, Spider-Man is without question my favorite solo Marvel character of all time. So if Batman is number one, Spider-Man is number two. Those two are very, very closely tied in terms of how much I love both of these characters. So we will be going over all of the theatrical films that he has been in. But before I get into my particular ranking, I just have two things to say. First off, if you are new to the channel or if you just happen to like my content, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and press the subscribe button because every subscription really does count. And before I get into my ranking, there's something that I have to say right now because I want to save a lot of people a lot of time. And what I'm about to say is undoubtedly going to get some thumbs down. Right off the top, right off the back. Here's what I'm going to say this right now. I do not like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Don't like him. So much so that I'm not watching it. I'm not watching almost any Spider-Man Marvel film that he's in, and that started with Homecoming. No, I saw. I take it back. I saw Homecoming, but I did not see. I have not seen Avengers Endgame. I have not seen Far From Home, and any Spider-Man film that he's going to be in moving forward, I will not watch. I legitimately do not like his portrayal as Spider-Man. Now, I know that a lot of people love him as Spider-Man and think he is the greatest Spider-Man. And if that's how you feel, that's perfectly fine. Then this is obviously not the video for you, because right out of the back, if we jump right into my ranking, without question, I'm going over and placing Far From Home. I have not seen that movie. I don't want to see it. I have no desire to see it. And I'm placing Homecoming right there on the D rank. Because the only good thing about that film was Michael Keaton's Vulture. That's about it. That's literally the only good thing I could say about the film. Everything else, I'm not a fan of. So, now that we've gotten those two out of the way, I'm pretty sure that just got me some serious thumbs downs. Now, so we go into the other Spider-Man films. What I am going to say, I will say this. One film that Homecoming is better than is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Dear God, was that a mess? Dear God, it was a train wreck. I think the problem that Sony has, at least with that particular Spider-Man movie, was that they were so focused on trying to set up a cinematic universe. They spent so much time setting up all this extra stuff away from Spider-Man that they forgot to just focus on making the best Spider-Man movie that they could do what we were watching. And there was just so many things going on. I can't think of anything I saw that I actually enjoyed. I thought that Jamie Foxx's portrayal as Electro was laughable. I was not a fan of all the romantic scenes between Peter and Gwen Stacy. I legitimately did not care when Gwen Stacy got killed. Spoiler alert. I wasn't a fan of the action scenes. Didn't care for the music. Didn't care for the cinematography. There was absolutely no aspect of that film that I liked at all. I think the only thing about it that I could say was kind of interesting was maybe some of the visuals. That's about it. I mean, I think visually it is a pretty good looking film, but that's about it. But heck, that's not enough to save that film. So yeah, that's where I'm going to put that. Now, to go into my C tier, I'm going to have to put The Amazing Spider-Man 1. This one, it seems to be like a lesser version of the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. Just not quite as interesting. I think it would have taken me at least 2 movies for Andrew Garfield to kind of grow on me as Spider-Man, because I'd always hoped that Tobey Maguire would come back and we would get a 4th Spider-Man film, because I actually didn't mind Spider-Man 3 despite its heavy flaws. But this one just kind of went over the same tropes that we're used to that Spider-Man films are kind of known for. I think the action for it was pretty well. I actually didn't mind that they went with Reptile for the main villain. I thought it could have been handled a lot better. And I just didn't like how Spider-Man took off his mask so many times. I thought that was ridiculous. I mean, Peter is so careful of his identity that this version just threw that away so often. And that just went totally against the character. So yeah, I would say that this one was, it has its moments, but overall, it's kind of one of those, I can't watch this film unless I have a fast forward button to skip some scenes, because there's definitely a number of scenes in this film that I just cannot stand watching. So that's where I would place The Amazing Spider-Man 1. Now, also on the C tier is I'm actually going to put Spider-Man 3. Very, very heavily flawed film. You could tell. A lot of things. I think I think its ending is okay. I think Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was great. I think the action scenes were absolutely great. But I think the problem is that there was just too many plot lines going on at once, and this film had a very, very just bad sense of focus. It seemed to kind of be jumping around too often. I mean, I didn't mind that they wanted to tell the Venom storyline. In fact, that's the storyline that I would have wanted them to do for a third film. But apparently the director didn't want to use Venom, and I don't know if he went out of his way to kind of make Venom look like a really just awful character. I thought the casting for Eddie Brock was absolutely horrible. Horrible. That is not Eddie Brock at all. I thought Venom was just dumb looking. I didn't mind Peter when he was in the black suit. In fact, it actually led to some pretty hilarious scenes, and some people actually have still memed it to this day. But I would say that there's more good with this film than bad, but it is sadly just a very, very heavily flawed film. It's not, in my opinion, the ending of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, it deserved a better film. It really did, because I really enjoyed this trilogy so much. So the fact that it kind of, but again, it kind of follows the tradition that a lot of comic book movies have found themselves in, where the first one was really good, the second one was better, but when you're trying to stick the landing for your trilogy, it just doesn't work. And a lot of trilogies have fallen into that trap, and unfortunately, Spider-Man also falls into that trap as well, which is why I have to place Spider-Man 3 on the C tier. Now, as we go into the B tier, I'm going to go with the very, very first Spider-Man. This one changed the game, much like The Dark Knight did. This film was incredible. This did Spider-Man justice. I mean, up until then, my only main interaction with Spider-Man had been in the comics and in the Fox Kids animated show, which, if you haven't seen that, why? Because that's without question easily a top 5 animated comic book show of all time. So I didn't know what to expect going in, but this still holds up. It is still a great Spider-Man film. Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man, and I think he will remain that for the end of time. I thought he fit the role perfectly. I thought that I thought the soundtrack was actually pretty good. I thought the visuals were good. I thought the action scenes were good. The ending was awesome. Just so many good things. This is a great Spider-Man film, so that's why I will place it in B tier. Now, going into A tier, the first film which surprised the hell out of me was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Wow. I was blown away with how good this film. This film ended up being way better than I think anyone could have expected. This is an incredible film. The idea of taking all these different Spider-Men and putting them together and creating the kind of story that they did, that has much heart, and the action scenes were great, and even with its visual style, even that is something that should not normally have worked, but it did. I thought that Miles is an incredible character to ride around. I thought that the use of using a Spider-Man that's kind of like a homeless Spider-Man whose life had just completely fallen apart, I thought that was great. I thought bringing in Gwen Stacy was great. I thought bringing in Spider-Man Noir was great, and that he was voiced by Nicolas Cage. I thought everyone in the voice acting cast was just incredible, and I really cannot wait till we get a sequel to this film, because it showed that when you have a team that is interested in trying to make the best movie as possible and doesn't want to start setting things up until when it needs to, you can get a very, very impressive Spider-Man film. And a lot of people have refused to see this film because it's not live action. And this is just clear proof that you don't need to tell a movie or a comic book movie in live action in order to tell a great story. As long as you have a great script, a great concept, and a good cast around your film, you can create some pretty incredible things. And without a doubt, this is my second favorite Spider-Man film of all time. Unquestionably. And even I was shocked. But that leaves only one film left as number 1 on the A tier and my favorite Spider-Man film of all time, and I think it's probably the favorite of a lot of people even to this day, and that is Spider-Man 2. What can be said? This is perhaps the most perfect Spider-Man film I've ever seen. It eclipses the first film in every way since. I think that Doc Ock is probably my favorite Spider-Man villain in terms of the live-action films. I thought that the story that they were trying to tell was absolutely incredible, with the whole storyline of Peter losing his powers and him like not really knowing what to do with his life, and then him questioning himself, and then him needing to give things up. Really, a lot of heart. A lot of heart. And that's something that a lot of these comic book movies have forgotten to have. They just want to focus on making great special effects and these giant CGI fight fests, and then just wanting to stay going and just not caring about the story. But this one did. This one cared about its story. It cared about its characters, and it cared on sending a message. A message that sticks with you. Not just want to entertain you, but actually want to teach you something about being a good person. And a lot of films cannot do that, but this one absolutely did. I have absolutely no complaints across the board. I can't think of a single thing that I would complain about it. And because of that, Spider-Man 2 to this day remains a top 5 favorite comic book film of all time. It sits there at the table with movies like The Dark Knight. It sits there at the table. And heck, it's good competition for it. It's not quite as good, but it is still a phenomenal film. It is, in my opinion, what I would call a masterpiece of a film. And there's not anything anyone could say to change my mind about that film. So that is my ranking tier list style of the Spider-Man theatrical films. If you have seen a good number of these films, I would be more than happy for you to share your ranking of all these films in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.